Well, hello and welcome to tonight's live stream. This is episode 14. If you've just joined us for the first time, welcome. If you've been here all along, thank you very much. I recognize a lot of you who are on the stream tonight, so I do know a lot of you, and I do appreciate you guys more than you will ever know. All right, so again, if you are new here, what I want to show you real quick, or even if you're not new, just a brief reminder, is I don't want you guys to go and try to start from scratch or anything like that. What I'd like for you to do is go to my Bitbucket account, so bitbucket.org and /Parham Curtis, and then look for the live e-commerce YouTube course. And then when you have done that, just click on it and then go right here. These are the branches. Go ahead and find the last videos, the end of the last video, which was episode 13. That's where we left off in the last video. If you grab that, that would be a good place to start tonight. Again, I do not recommend that you try to follow along with me. Rather, just watch and ask questions, and then go back and do the programming part of your own after the video. You guys can reference the video. The recording will be up, so it's not just live, so you don't have to worry and rush and try to get everything copied with me. All right. Responsible Marketing says, please can you create a simple website, MVC PHP? Actually, this is just a real simple site. You would build a normal one just like this. However, I'm not sure that we will build just I'm going to have a lot of videos showing how to use the framework, the MVC framework, and when I do that, there'll be a lot of examples of building those sites. So the last thing I want to kind of go over with you guys before we jump in and get started tonight is I want to give a big shout out to Artur. I think his last name is Manassian. He's one of my followers on YouTube, and we have become friends the best that we can, spanning the language gap and the distance gap, but we are becoming very close friends, and I want to announce Artur as an official partner of mine in the RUA MVC. He's putting in a lot of effort for the front end site, and he's going to be helping me out with documentation, and also at some point he's also making some commits and changes to the actual framework itself, and he's very involved. And so I'm very proud of Artur, and it's been a pleasure working with him, and I hope that relationship can continue far into the future and we can build something great together. So Artur, I know you're on, man. If you haven't left to go to sleep yet, from the bottom of my heart, sincerely thank you for everything that you've been doing. And man, I can't express in words what it's like to have someone who's never met me just step up and say, you know what, I'm going to help with this project. And so that's a real blessing. So thank you, and may God richly bless you, my friend. All right, well, with that, guys, I do want to jump in and get started. And if you were with us last week, you'll remember we kind of finished up our integration with Braintree, which is a PayPal integration. It's a PayPal product. That is their shopping cart. So you have a choice now to use Stripe or Braintree just by changing a setting in the config. But we have a lot of loose ends that I kind of wanted to work on tonight to tie up. One of them being there's no way really to get to the shopping cart without adding a new thing. So what I want to do is, if you have items in a shopping cart, I want to put an icon up in the menu that will have a shopping cart icon, and then also the number of items that you have in the cart. And then if you click that, it takes you to the shopping cart. Other than that, I would like tonight to get on the admin side, we have a dashboard that we haven't done anything with yet. So I'd like to actually look into how to build some charts and take our sales that we've made on a day-to-day basis and build a chart out and show the daily sales that we've made from the database. So and then after that, we'll see if we have any time left to continue on after that. I have been considering making this or the next episode the last of the series for the e-commerce site. There's a couple reasons for that. I think I think the biggest meat and potatoes of what I wanted to show you guys, we've kind of gone through with integrating with multiple gateways. Also, I think that I've shown enough that you should be able to take the concepts that we've done and extend this beyond what it's already doing to meet whatever needs that you may have. So I don't really think we've missed anything that's super important. And also, just I think the interest is kind of dying off on the project because we've covered most of what most people want to see, or they've just kind of dropped off for other reasons. So, so hello guys. Don't be sorry to me, man. Do not be sorry to me ever. But with that, so let's jump right in and let's build out that menu icon. You guys can send me some feedback whether you think we should continue, but I really think this episode or the next episode will probably conclude the e-commerce series. I'm really excited to get going into the next series, which we're going to build a social media networking site, probably either using Vue.js or React. And we'll have some live, like maybe some WebSockets and things like that to do live chat and stuff like that. And so I'm excited to jump into that project and get going on that. But if there's still interest in this project, by all means, we will, if there's something specific you guys want to see, I do want to help as much as I can, but I don't want to linger here forever when everyone's done. So, but I do appreciate all of you being here, and let's jump right in. So I'm going to switch over to my screen so that you can see. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Right here we have an empty shopping cart. What I want to do is basically, if there's something in our shopping cart, I want to put a shopping cart menu item right here, right next to this login here, and I want to show the number of items that are in the cart and have that be a direct link. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So what we're going to do is inside of our layouts, if you go into app layouts, we have the main menu.php. This is going to be an opportune place for us to add that. We're going to do some logic in here. We're going to have to create some functions to get the amount of items that's in the shopping cart and things like that. But what we're going to do is go ahead and build out a new menu item right here. So it won't come from our ACLs. It's going to be hard coded into our site because we don't really, there's not going to be any restrictions. Everyone's going to have access to the shopping cart, so it's not necessary to put it through the ACL. And B, we want to control it in a way that if there's 0 items, we don't want it to show, and if there are items, we want it to show. So that would take some really weird integrations into the ACL unit that I don't think is necessary for us to do. So let's dive right in. What we're going to do here is add just a new list item, and we're using Bootstrap here. So this is just going to have a class of nav item, and then what we're going to do is give this thing an additional class so that we can target things on the inside of this, and I've just called that nav cart. Okay, so then what we're going to do here is I want to create first of all the link, and then we're going to add the badge for the number of items that are in the cart. So let's just get going on that first. First thing we'll do is go ahead and create the link, and this link is, we're going to go ahead and put our project root constant right here, so we'll echo that out, and then it's just cart. So that is the link to our shopping cart. So that's not a big deal there. The next thing that we want to do is give this thing a class itself. This one for Bootstrap has to be nav link so that it's styled correctly. And we will be adding the active class to this as well at some point. But right now we're just going to leave this at nav link. And the next thing that I want to do is give this the icon. And we're using Font Awesome. We already have that loaded in. So Font Awesome has an icon called Fa Shopping Cart. Okay. And close out that tag. Let's just take a look at that real quick and make sure it looks right in our menu. And it's right here, so that looks to be correct. Let's go ahead and try out the link. All right, so a link works, so we know we're good there. Of course, we don't have anything in the shopping cart right now, so we're going to put logic in to not show that if there's nothing in the shopping cart. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get the little number thing built out so that we can style that and have a place to display the number of items in the shopping cart. So what I'm going to do is inside of this list item right here above the link, I'm going to add a span right here. I'm going to give it a class equal to nav badge. That's another one that we're going to make in a second in our CSS file. And then so So Denise says, please finish it. I really enjoyed learning all about e-commerce. Please don't be discouraged. I'm absolutely sure everything will work for our good. Yeah, Denise, it's not so much about being discouraged. I'm not discouraged at all. I really feel blessed with this. I just don't know like how many people want to watch all the little gritty details of building more stuff out. But again, we'll see. What I'd like to hear from you guys is like features that you want to see added, and we'll go from there. But I don't want to just keep adding stuff on the fly. I don't think that's really helpful because it's really more important to learn how to program than it is like learn how to program each individual line. So what I hope you guys get from this is like the concepts so that you can just think of these things on your own and then try to build them. Don't be scared to add stuff that I haven't done. Like just go in and do it. That's the beautiful thing about using version control with Git is you can literally make a bunch of mistakes and then just get rid of them and go back to the previous version if you want. So just go in there and start hacking stuff away, man. And if you guys got questions, send them my way. And if it constitutes me making a video, I'll be happy to do so. All right, so anyhow, but I'm not discouraged at all. Like I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression. I do I love what we've done. I think that the meat and potatoes of the project are kind of to a point where it's there. So I'm just going to put a dummy number here. I'm going to put the number 4 and we'll pretend that we have 4 items in the cart. That's hard coded for now. We will replace that with a dynamic number. But what I want to do is make sure that this thing actually looks correct. So if we look at it right now, obviously this isn't going to look the way that we want it to look. In fact, it's just got this like 4 up here and it pushes the whole thing down. So let's go ahead and style that up a little bit so that it works. And so what I'm going to do is go into the CSS and pull up my custom CSS right here. And I'm just going to split that right so we can look at our other file at the same time. And I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom of this file. And we're going to add a couple new classes here. So the first class that we need to target this list item right here. And in order for what we're going to do is we're going to create this badge as an absolute position. And in order to do that, we need to give this list item a position of relative. So what we'll do is we're going to target the list item, and we're looking for a nav item that also has a class of nav cart. Okay, and all we're going to do here, this is going to be super simple. We're just going to say position relative. Okay, once we've done that, now we need to target that actual badge and give it some style so it looks good. So let's go ahead and do li nav item, also have nav cart, and we are looking inside of that for a class called nav badge. Okay, and this one's going to get a position of absolute. And then let's say from the top we want it to be -2 pixels. From the right, let's make it -5 pixels. The font color, I want to go ahead and make that white. And then let's do font size, let's say 10 pixels. And then font weight, let's make it bold. Let's also give it a line height and set that equal to 10 pixels because Bootstrap kind of adds additional line height there. And then what I want to do is, because we have that in a span, I want to add some padding. So in order to add padding, what I need to do is make this thing an inline block. So we'll do inline block there. And let's see, let's do a border. And the border, if we look at this color right here in this nav, let's inspect that. I want to make the border the same color as that. So if I go ahead and jump on that nav right there and look at it, I can grab this color. So I'm going to grab that. And then, so what we're going to do is just say, excuse me, we're going to say 2 pixels solid, and then I'm going to paste that color from the nav bar right there. The next thing that I want to do is give this thing a border radius of 50%. That will make it round. The next thing I want to do is give it some padding of 4 pixels. And then let's give it a background color, like an orange color, to make it stand out. and I'm just gonna throw ff6600 or something. All right, let's see what that looks like. So go back here and I'm gonna refresh. I might have to empty the cache. Let's see. Let's see what a few different numbers look like there besides 4. So let's try hard coding a number like 12 here. I won't spend too much time on styling. I just wanted to do something and put it here. So 12. That doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure about white on that for a color. I wonder what it would look like to maybe darken. Darken that orange up a little bit. That looks a little better. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to add this number right here. We don't want that to be hard coded, obviously. So we need to create a way for us to grab how many items are in a cart easily so that we can use that functionality here in our menu. So what we'll do, let's create, I'm going to go to the app, models and carts. And actually I want to put it over here. I'm going to close down the CSS. I don't think we're going to do anything else with that right now. So I'm here in the carts model, and I think this is a good place for us to go ahead and grab the number of items in the cart. So let's look at that real quick. Let's create a new method here, and we're just going to make it static. So we'll say public static function, and let's just do items or item count current cart or something like that. And so what I want to do is find a current shopping cart. If they have the current shopping cart, then we will grab everything out of there and see how many items are in there, if that makes any sense. And so in order to do that, we need access to the cookie, which we have. So I think we're good. So let's go ahead and just get the current shopping cart ID. And so we're going to say cart ID is equal to let me see. I can't remember if I updated the framework to do this. Let me look at the cookie class. Yeah, the cookie class needs to. All right. Well, I guess what we'll do is first we're going to check if there's not a cart at all. So what we're going to say is if not cookie exists, and then what we're looking for is their shopping cart. So we had a constant called cart cookie name. So if that cookie doesn't exist, what we're going to do here is simply return 0. We're just going to return the number 0 because they don't have any items in their cart. Okay, so that's what we'll do first. Then what we're going to do is if it makes it past that, we're going to say cart ID is equal to cookie get, and then we're going to get the cart cookie name. So that will get our cart ID. And then the next thing that we want to do is grab the items. We want to grab the items by the cart. Now we have this function that we could use up here, the find all items by cart ID. We could do that. But I think what we'll do possibly is create a new SQL. Let's go ahead and look in here and let's see if we can figure out we want to look at the sum of quantity. Select sum quantity, and we're going to get that from cart items, where cart ID is equal to, let's say 1. So let me see if that's a valid. Alright, so that came back as 14. So let's check and see if that's correct. So let's go to cart items, and we have cart ID 1. So let's see, quantity 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's correct. Let's check one more. If we do plug in cart item 2, it should, let's see. Oh man, I didn't copy that. So we'll do select sum, which is just a function in MySQL. Select sum of the quantity from cart items, where cart ID is equal to 2. So that should be the answer should be 2 there. So that's a good query. So let's go ahead and grab this query real quick, and I'm gonna just, let's see, copy that. All right, so then what we want to do, we have the cart ID here, is we want to go ahead and run this query, and so we need to grab the database, and that is going to be equal to db get instance. That gets the instance of the database. Once we have that, we're going to say our SQL is going to equal, and I'm going to paste that in there. The other thing I want to do here is just format this a little better, so make it look more like SQL. All right, then we're going to replace this 2 right here with a question mark, because we want to bind that value. So now all we have to do is we need to run that query. So let's see, count is equal to db db query, and then we pass in the SQL statement, and then the next thing we do is pass in an array, and the array is our bound values, excuse me. And in this case, all we're going to do here is pass in cart ID right into that. So that's cart ID. I'm going to go ahead and cast that to an integer as well, right here. Not totally necessary because we are binding that, so it's not like they can do any kind of SQL injection. But anyhow, go ahead and do that. We might need to check as well. Oops. Let me check one thing. Yeah. Okay. So then what we need to do is, this is going to return a result set. And so the result set here, let's do it this way. I'm going to say result. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dump and die that result so I can show you how that looks. The other thing we need to do is actually use this function. So in our main menu, what we're going to do is up here, let's see, in our models, we need to include the carts model. So I'm going to add a group here, and I'm just going to add carts right in there. And then I can use that function we just created right here. We're going to say cart items, cart item count, maybe something like that. real descriptive. And we're going to say carts, and then we're going to use that method that we just created, and it was called item count current cart. So item count current cart. So that'll call it. We should get a var dump here. So let's go ahead. This should be 0. Let's see. Where are you at? Oh, let's see. Item count current cart. Well, one thing we're going to have to do is include our helper right here so that we can do that dump and die. That's one problem. The other problem is I'm going to go ahead and comment this right here out. Okay. So we did get an object back right here. There's the let's see. The result came back as null. So that it came back as null because we don't have anything in our shopping cart right now, actually. So what we want to do is put something in our shopping cart so that we can actually see if this is working. All right. So I'm going to comment out this line right here, and let's go back now to the website, and I'm going to add just a couple things to the shopping cart. We'll add 2 things here. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is go back and then we'll refresh this. All right. So now here's our result set that came back, and so we have this result right here. It came back as 1 item, and the sum of that. So we had some quantity, and then that was 2. Now the thing is I don't want to pass this as the that's going to be hard to use. So all we need to do there is, like right here, we're going to give this an alias. So we're going to say select some quantity as, we'll just say quantity, right? Now if we refresh, that'll just be quantity, and we can see that we have 2 there. So all we need to do actually to get this is this result right here is going to be I think there's a method called first. Let me double check that. That's in the database. So we're using the DB class right here directly. Yep, there's a method right here called first. Okay. So that's going to return that first result set. So then all we have to do here is just return result, and then we're looking at result quantity. Okay, so that is going to give us that right there. And then in the main menu, what we can do here is we can just, to test it, we can say h dump and die cart item count. So this is all we're doing here is double checking ourselves, make sure that we don't have any weird bugs, and then it came back as 2 right there. All right, so now we have the amount of items coming from our cart, our current cart, and what we want to do is we want to put some logic in to where it only shows us if we have items in our cart. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do here is just say we're going to put an if statement, and we're going to say if cart item count is greater than 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to include this list item. So we're going to say end if I refresh now, I gotta get rid of that dump and die. All right, so then the next thing that we need to do, we can see that this is here, so we know that that's over 0. So all we need to do now is come down here and replace this 12 with, we just need to echo out cart item count. Okay, and that will make that a dynamic number, so that should say 2 now. There we go. So it says 2. If we go to the shopping cart, there's our 2 items. If we go ahead and increase these or decrease them, it increases that number right there. So it says 4, 5. So that's all working as expected. If I take this down to 0, let's test that. It says our shopping cart's empty. Let's refresh. This still says 2 here. Not really sure why that would say 2. So we need to look into that because we don't have any items. So let's go ahead now and refresh inside the database and see what we got here. I see. So what's happening, because of our SQL query, we're actually, what it does is it deletes these 2. So we didn't consider deleted inside of our query, which is easy to do when you do these, when you have soft delete and you're doing a custom query. But all we have to do is say where cart ID is equal to question mark, and then we'll say and deleted is equal to 0. So now that doesn't show up now that we've done that. So if we go back now and we go ahead and add these back in, this should there we go. All right, so it's working as expected. So now we have that working in our thing. So that didn't take too long. It took us about a half hour to get that menu item going. The last thing I want to kind of do is I want to make this active if they're in the shopping cart. And then I think we can call this done enough for now. All right, so let me go ahead and we can close this for now. So we have, what we normally do is, if you look in these build menu list items, there's a method that basically each one of these goes through and it says, hey, if the current page is this current page, which, let's see, current page, should be a function for this. Oh yeah, this is the function right here. So we need to use this current page function to get our current page and see if that's equal to cart. So that's really easy to do. So what we can do is we're going to create a new variable called cart active, and we're going to create a ternary operator here. We're just going to say h current page. So we're getting the current page, and we want to know if that is equal to cart. If it is, then we want to return an active class, else we're just going to return an empty string. And then what we can do is down here inside of this, I'm not really sure, I need to check this. I'm not really sure if we put the active on the list item or on the link. Let's see. So it looks like yeah, it looks like the active goes on the link. So let's go and put that. Here's the link, and we already have this nav class. We just need to add to this. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to echo out the cart active. So let's see what that looks like. So I got a typo, cart active. And that's because I forgot the assignment operator right there. Okay, let me take a look at this. It's not getting that, so that means I have an error or something in my logic right here. So let's go ahead and let's just dump and die the current page. Okay. Oh, so it's live cart. Okay, so what we need to do is, instead of just doing this here, we need to concatenate on or prepend that with our project root. That should work. So I'm gonna get rid of this dump and die. I think that'll take care of our issue. And yes, see how it's got the active class. If I go home, it doesn't have the active class, but once we go there, it is active. So that is working as expected. Right on. So I think that icon's pretty good. Not super happy with the badge, but again, that was it's just a quick deal. I want to just check something real quick. I want to see what happens when it gets to double digits. It doesn't look too bad. Again, we could play around with the styling of that a lot more, but it doesn't matter. Alrighty then. So now that we have that, I'm gonna go ahead and actually, I want to go ahead and purchase some stuff for today, just because the next thing we're gonna do is work on our dashboard to create a chart. So let me check out. So it's using the PayPal one. I guess I got that set up still. All right, so there we go. We have that. So let me just go and check my transactions, make sure that came through. Got that Braintree transaction right here. So that is a successful transaction. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is let me go and look at we'll need to be logged in as an admin user, so I'm going to log in real quick. Wrong password. There we go. So now we have this admin portal. If we click over to that, we can see that we just had a placeholder here for dashboard. What I'd like to do is start giving us some reporting on our sales inside this dashboard right here. And so what I was thinking is I found this charts.js library that helps us build charts with JavaScript. So I actually thought we would use this library and build out like a daily chart of our sales. Okay, so let's go ahead now and let's go ahead and see if we can get that information, and then we will build out that chart. Um, I think actually it might be beneficial for us to get the chart thing installed and just get some dummy data in here and make it work, and then we'll grab the information from the database to show that. So let's go back to the installation instructions. I'm just at chartjs.org, and then I went to getting started in installation here. They have all kinds of stuff. You can use Node Package Manager and stuff like that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the standalone build here. And so let me go to their GitHub page. Okay. So here, says we also need to get moment.js. They do have a bundled build that has moment.js included, but I don't think we should do that because there's a chance that some of you guys already have moment.js installed for other stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this, and we'll get the moment.js. I think what we can do is let's go to the CDN. Yeah, so we're going to use this CDN right here, I think. So let's see. We don't want the bundle. They have a CSS and a JS stack, so we're going to go ahead and get both of these links. So let's go ahead and grab, I'm going to grab this. So that's for CSS. Now, we only really need that. We don't want to include this on every page because we don't need it on every page. So let me close all this stuff down and let's just open up the view we're currently working on. And if you remember, if you go to admin dashboard, there's an index.php. Here's our placeholder. So this is the file that we need to be working in. So I want to add this CSS in the head of just this page. And we can do that with this framework very easily by just saying this start, and we're going to start the head. And we'll skip down a few lines and we will do this and everything that we put in between the start head and the end right here will actually get put into the head of the HTML document. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create a link, and style sheet's fine, and then I'm just going to paste that CDN right here. So this will get us the minified CSS. The next thing that we need to do is actually we need to load in the the JavaScript. So we'll just say script let me see if I can do it this way. Yep, there we go. We're just gonna put this on one line, and then we just give it a source equal to, and we'll go and back to the CDN, and this time I'm gonna grab the minified JavaScript. Let me copy that. And there we go. So right now we have the thing that we don't have yet is we don't have the moment.js. So if we look back here, they said there was a dependency on getting moment.js right here. So let's go and find moment.js, which is here. And you can install that. Now I think that they have, I think there's a CDN for moment.js. Let me look for that. We can just download it. If not, that's fine. Let's see. Let me go to the docs. Okay. Well, yeah, that's getting into using it. So what I'm gonna do is let's go back and just download this. So copy that, and then we'll create a new file. So I'm gonna go to our JS folder, and I'm gonna create a new file in here that we will call moment.min.js. I'm gonna paste that here. All right. So then what we need to do is we need to include that before this script tag. So right above there, I'm going to add some more script tags. Artur says he uses this library without moment, without any problems. I'm going to put moment in here because we're going to be using dates. So they said if you're going to use the date timeline, you need this. And you may also have sometime you can do a control right to save the JS file. Okay. But the oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, good job. The anyways, I think we'll need moment because we're going to be we're going to break it up by dates. So I'm just going to put it in there because they said it's a dependency and I don't want to break it. But you could be correct that we may or may not need it. but I'm going to put it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and echo out our project root, and then what we want to do here is this is going to be js/moment.min.js. So let's just go and load our page now and make sure that all that is loading correctly. So I'm going to jump over to network, and I'm just going to look at JavaScript. So we got a 200 status on moment and a 200 status on chart. Let's look at CSS. So we got a 200 status on the CSS as well. The rest of our stuff includes the versioning, which helps with clearing browser caches. So since this is a file that we have, we may want to go ahead and throw that in just in case somebody updates that at some point. So all we have to do there to update that is we're just going to add a query param here. So just do v equals, and then we just need to echo out, I think it's just version. I can double check that, but let's take a look and see. So we're going to look at JS again. Yeah, so moment.js, now we have the version printed out there. So that'll help with browser cache, that's why you do that. All right, so let's just, now that we have all of that included and we know that it's loading the files on that page, and just to prove a point to you guys, if I go to a different page like view products and let me just clear that and refresh, you can see that we're not loading in any of those files. So that's exactly what we want. We don't want to slow down other page loads to load in a library we don't need, which is why I put it here, because we're not going to need it in many other places. I went ahead and put it here in the view instead of putting it in our layout. If we put it in our layout, anytime we use that layout, it's going to load that, and we may not need those libraries anywhere else. So if we find that we do need some of these everywhere or in multiple places, it may be worth it to go ahead and move it to a layout, but for now it's good to put it in the view, if that makes any sense. It just helps with page load times for everything else. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at their documentation and get a chart that we want printed to the screen. So we have installation. Let's see. So one thing that I know that you have to do is add a canvas. Let's see. And I've never used this library before, so you guys are going to see me kind of screw this up too, which is cool. But let's see, usage. Let's create a chart here. So basically it's telling us, hey, you're going to need a canvas, and then they're going to target that canvas, looks like using jQuery, and then all the data gets put in, I believe, where's the data? Oh, right here. So this data, we will need to load this from, we'll want to load this data from the backend, okay? And I'm going to show you guys how to do that, but for now, we're going to go ahead and just get a chart working, and then we're going to change it out. Let's see. I wish I could, let's see if I can find a specific chart, because what I'd like to do, I'd like to do a line chart like this. Yeah, this is what I want to do. So let's go back and grab their example here. So I'm going to grab this and let's just dump that in to our body here. And what I'm going to do is let's give this an h2, a header here, and we're just going to say dashboard. And I'll also give it horizontal rule. And then right here, let's create a div, a class, a row, and we'll do a div class equal call medium 12, or just even call 12 is fine, I believe. And then right inside of here, we're going to paste that canvas. So they don't let you do their height and width can't be they can't be like a percentage, I believe. And so we're gonna have to adjust some of this, and I think they have a responsive one, so we might be able to utilize that as well. But so anyhow, let's see, we got that canvas. The next thing that we need to do is we will add towards the bottom, we need to add some script tags. Whoops. My back is killing me. It's like I don't know. Back in 2005, I broke my back in a sledding accident, and just a side. Just I broke my back in a sledding accident, and every now and then I get these like what do they call them, spasms, like around my spine, where it just like squeezes my spine and it makes me feel like I can't breathe. So that's what's going on right now. So it's hard to focus, and I'm starting to sweat. It's hard to breathe. But anyways, hopefully that'll ease up soon. Probably not, because I'm sitting weird in this chair. But all right. So now we have our script tags. Let's go ahead and jump back over to their documentation. And I don't think we need to, let's see. What we're going to do this, let's do daily sales chart as the ID here, and because we might do more charts on this dashboard than just one. And then what we're going to do is down here, let's create a function, and we're going to call this load daily sales chart, and we're going to say var context is equal to document.get element by ID, and we called that daily sales chart. All right, so now we have our canvas context, and now we just need to grab the information, let's see, in the data. So let's go back to the line. So this gives us all the information that we can use. So I'm just going to copy this right here. Oops. All right. So we're passing that context into there, giving it a type of line, and then the data and the options. Now we don't have the data and options yet. We're going to make an Ajax call to get that. So what we probably should do here, just to see if it's working, let's go ahead and create a var data. We're just going to say 235.86 or 89, and then 123.34, and then we'll create options. I think that's options. I'm uncertain on their documentation of how they get these January, February, March. Let's look at that real quick and make sure I'm understanding that correctly. Hmm. I guess I'm not sure how to give that any of those dates. I want to create dates, so I might be missing that. Hmm. Okay, well, just take a look and see what happens. Data property of a data set for a line chart can be passed in two formats, a number or a point. Um, so 20. Okay, I see. Um, doesn't look like that worked. Oh, I didn't call the function route. So I need to actually call this function. So in order to call this function, we're gonna right here at the bottom of the script, we'll just do this jQuery. I think it's ready. No, I gotta look that up. I don't use jQuery often, guys, so forgive me. jQuery on page load. Oh, document ready. All right. So document dot ready. And then in here, I think we just passed an anonymous function, I believe. Yeah. Yep. So we're gonna say function, and then here we're just gonna call the load daily sales chart. So let's see what happens now. Okay. Well, we got a graph, at least. This is not what I expected, so we have an issue here, and that's probably has a lot to do with I don't know how to use this yet. So I don't know if RTour can give me any direction, but basically what I need to do is probably look at, let's see, my first data set. I would assume they give you some way to name, because obviously here they have um, oh, labels. Okay, so their data has an object, and it looks like it has labels, and then data sets. My first data set, 65, 59, 80. Okay, so that makes sense. I think I'm good now, Artur. I didn't really understand how they were passing this data, so I'm just inspected their stuff, and now I can see that they have inside their data they actually pass in an object called labels, and those are going to be our dates, and then the sales numbers will be here. Um, line tension 0.1. Yeah, so I'm just looking to see if there's anything obvious here that I need to set up. All right. So, what we'll do is, let's see, data sets, our data right here needed to be in the form of, we needed to create an object. And we're going to get this back from the back end, but I just want to get it working. So the data here is going to be, they had labels. Let me sure I was right on that. Type line data. Yeah, they had labels, and that's an array. And the actual data is an array as well. So I'm going to try that. So we have labels. Here I'm just going to say 5, 7, or just say 5, 6, 2019, and then we'll do 5, 7, 2019. Then they had, I'm going to try to do it just this way with data, and in here, let's see, it was 20, I'm just making up numbers now. Let's say we had a little bit more the next day. All right, so let's see what that looks like. If that works. Does not. It did put our labels down here, so that's good. All right, glad you could be here. Glad you could be here. Right now what we're doing is we're working on building a bar graph out, and I think look at 65, 59. Okay, that's pretty nice. I'm gonna copy this. Let me change this to data sets, and that looked like that was the data sets was an array of objects, and so we're just going to do one object here, and they had, oops, all right, so here they had a label and then the data, so that's not difficult. So they had label, and this is just going to be, I don't know, for now it's just going to be daily sales, and then they had data, and this, I'm going to go ahead and just copy this and see if this works. Then I'm going to get rid of this. I think that'll give us closer to what we need. This is a huge graph. So let's see. Let's go and let's do a call medium 6. and call offset 2, no, 3. I'm just curious what this does. Let me add that last little bit that they had to see if it can shrink this down some. Basically, what I want to do is have less of a gap here, and I don't know how they're doing that. If it's just naturally because these are... So basically what they're doing is they have like... These are just going up and down by 5. And I don't know how they're setting that because ours is going... that might be an option, but let's see. Ours looks like it's going up by 20. So I don't know what controls that. We're getting closer though. So let's see. I want to copy. I like the way their graph looked, so I'm going to copy class as chart.js. I didn't change anything. The only other difference, they have this border color, and then they had fill false. I'm going to copy actually going to copy all of this right here. And then I'm going to paste that in. Dang it. Stupid. All right. See if that makes any difference. I did change our colors. Denise asked, "Will the graph be every vendor's or the backends?" So the way this is set up right now, this is going to be by vendor. If you wanted to do something, that's a good question because we haven't really built out the functionality to actually do the multi-vendor stuff like we were talking about. We have built it to where it can do that, definitely, but we don't have like a specific area where somebody could see, like basically if I wanted to see all sales across all vendors or something like that. We don't have a way to do that yet. So for right now, let's just imagine I'm a vendor, I'm the only vendor, and this is my data. That's it. That's pretty much what we want to see. So that's what we're looking at right now. So all right. So you guys can understand that basically like I want to see if there's a way to I was hoping there's a way to actually like, let's just see what happens if like these values were really close together. So let's say 245. I'm just curious to see what this graph does in that situation. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There has to be some sort of option, I think, somewhere that I'm missing here. That basically what I'm trying to do is I want to change the height of the canvas and then add a min of 0 to max of 100 to set the range. Maybe that'll work. I'm not sure. But what I want to do real quick is I'm looking to see if there's a value that they set that, because no matter what I did, it basically set the same amount of steps. And I'm trying to lower that amount of steps, if that makes any sense. So line tension. Well, let's try Bokang's suggestion real quick, and maybe he's used this before or something. Basically, it says change the height of the canvas, which the height, I mean, it's way bigger than 400 anyway. So I don't know what's setting that up. So I'm going to change it to 180. And then he said min and max of 0 and 100. Actually, I kind of like this. He was right about the height for sure. Yeah, that looks good. I need to look at one more thing here. I don't know why I always mess this up on the new Bootstrap. It makes me mad. It's not their fault. It's my fault for being ignorant and not knowing it. But basically, let's look at layout, and I'm gonna look at offset real quick. Grid. Okay, so they got rid of the call on that. It's just offset. All right. Okay, so now we know the graph is working. We need to get these labels and these values from the back end. So let me just set this back to 12. Make sure that height is still how I want it. Wow. Okay. Let's play around with it a little bit here. Okay. I kind of like that look of that. Now we're going to have a lot of points on here, so not a big deal. All right, so now what we need to do is we actually need to get these values from the back end. So we need to create a way for us to do that. And basically we're going to go into the transactions, and we're going to grab all of our transactions that have a success of 1, and we want to group these by date, and then also basically return them the total amount for each of those dates. Okay, so it's not as complex as it sounds. It's just going to be a little bit of a deal for us to get the data formatted the way that we want it. Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. Let's go and on our admin dashboard controller. So I'm going to go to admin dashboard. We're going to add an endpoint for our jQuery to reach out and grab this data. So I'm going to add a new public function, and this is going to be get daily sales, and that will be an action. So get daily sales action. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to get the information from the back end, and then we're going to format the data the way that we want it. and then we're going to do a JSON response here so that we can use jQuery to grab this stuff, or an AJAX request to grab this. So we need to go ahead and include or use the app models, and then here what we're going to do is get the transactions. Okay, and we're going to create a new method in that transactions model. So here this will be, let's just call it transactions is equal to transactions, and then we're going to pass get daily sales or something. Okay, so that'll be a static method there. So let's jump into that model. So if I go to the models transactions, we need to create a new static method so we can use. So public function get daily sales. All right, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to do a raw query here as well. So we're going to say a DB is going to equal to DB get instance, and we need to require DB here. So core DB. So there we go, we have that. The next thing that we're going to do is build out this SQL. So let's go ahead and jump. I think it's easier to build those SQL statements out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the date, and we're looking for created at. We're going to say as created at, and then the other column that we want is we're going to get the sum of the amount, and we're just going to call that as amount. So we're getting it from transactions, and then this where statement, we're just going to say where success is equal to 1. I'm going to go ahead and copy that real quick. We'll run that. That right here, we did get one row, and that one row summed everything up to $1,491. Now what we want to do though is we really want to group these by their dates. So let's go ahead now and go back to here, and what we're going to do here is group by. Alright, so we have the group by, and the group by is going to be date, oops, and then that will be created at. So let me copy this so I don't lose it, and run that. Alright, so now what we have is we have 3 rows that are returned because I have 3 days that have sales on them in my database. So we have $1,387.03 on the 1st, $58.99 on the 7th, and $45.95 on the 8th. So this right here will be the data that we need. So what we're going to do basically is split this, and these are the created at dates are going to be our labels, and then our amounts will be the amounts are going to be the data that we plug in there. Let's go ahead now and work on passing that back. So I have that copied, the query copied. So now what I need to do here is we're just going to say SQL is equal to so we have that, and then what we'll do is we're going to do a query. So we're going to say query is equal to, actually, you know what we could do? We could just say return db query SQL. We're going to pass that in there, and then we return the results. So that can all be chained on like that, minus that L. So now we'll have that. So let's go now into the in our admin dashboard controller here, and let's just do the dump and die of our transactions. And I need to go ahead and grab that right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and group this and add the H there so I can use that method. We'll refresh, and we haven't actually called that yet, so we need to do that. So what we'll do here is let's jump back to our script. We need to, inside this load daily sales chart, what we need to do here is we're going to say jQuery.ajax oops. All right, that takes an object, and the first param is going to be our URL. So our URL will be our project root, and then admin dashboard / and we called that get daily sales. So get daily sales. So that's our URL. And then our method for now could be get or post. We're going to do it post because we might actually pass something to this in a little bit. So data is just going to be an empty data string for now. And then we have success, and on success, this is actually going to be an anonymous function, and we're going to pass the response back. And then what we're going to do is this stuff here, all of this, we're going to move all of this into there. Whoops. All right. And then what we can do is, this isn't really going to work yet, so I'm going to console log our response. All right, let me open that up. I'm going to go ahead and open the console, refresh. Got a problem here. URL, method, data, success. Oh. I was missing the quotes there. I think that's what the problem was. Okay. So here we go. We have a problem here. First of all, we get a PHP error back that says non-static method should not be called statically. And that is because I probably forgot to add the static keyword there. So public static. So that'll take care of that. And then here's what we're getting back. This is our object. So this is our dump and die. So this is what we expected to happen. So now we need to just format this data and send it back in a way that JavaScript can use it for this chart. So let's do that. Let's go back here, and what we're gonna do is let's create labels will equal an array, and then we're gonna do data, and that will be an array. And then what we're gonna do is we'll say response is, well, before I do that, let's just do a for each loop, and we're going to for each transactions as transaction. So I'm going to say TX. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do labels, and we're going to add a new label, and that will be the TX. What do we? Let me look at that query again. Created at. Okay. And then we will do data, and that will be TX. I think I called that amount. Let me look at that real quick. Yep, amount. All right, then what we're going to do here is we're going to set up the response, not inside the for each loop, of course, but outside of the for each loop. Let's do response, and that's going to equal data and labels. Okay, and then all we need to do here is do this JSON response and pass back that. Okay, so now let's go, and I'm going to clear out this console log. We'll refresh. Now you can see our data that comes back. It's a data object, and we have a problem because it's only given us one of the values back. So I must have messed something up inside this for each loop. Let's see. I know we should have had 3. And it gave us back the first day of 5/1. Let me look at my database and see what that is. Yeah. I screwed something up here. Let's see. Let's put back the dump and die just to debug this. Transactions. Okay, so that is actually only passing back that. So let's look at let's see. That results function should do it. Oh, my query's missing the group by stuff. I don't know how that happened. Group by date created at. Let's take a look at that. There we go. That's better. So let's get rid of our dump and die now. And refresh. And now we have 3 elements in each array. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I copied the wrong one. I don't know how I ended up doing that. Obviously, I wasn't paying attention. But now we have all the data from our sales from the 3 days that we have available. And so what we want to do now is go ahead and substitute this information in our JavaScript for what's actually on our chart. So let's do that. So we have that response back right here. here's our response. So I'm gonna get rid of this console. Well, maybe I'll leave the console log for now. But this labels right here, we can replace this with just response. Oops, not $, response dot labels, and then we can replace this data right here with response dot data. So let's see if that works. So it does look like it is working. Let me hover over this. 58.99, 45.95, and 13.87. Now this chart doesn't look very good right now because obviously we have like 3 days worth of data on here. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to manipulate the data in my database just to kind of give us some variation. I'm sure some of these didn't even succeed. So I'll need to change those. All right, let's change a few more here. Oops, I may do 8 there. Okay, anyhow, let's just see what this does. So that, I just changed some dates in my database. All right, so now the graph looks a lot better. You can look at the sales, 125.93, 335. So the second still has a lot of sales on it, but that's okay. That was just a good day. So it kind of goes through and gives us out our data. So that's being loaded from the back end. I'm pretty happy with that. The only other thing we're kind of missing here is the ability to kind of select some date ranges. So right now it's gonna literally grab every date in the database, which is probably not ideal. What probably makes sense for us to do is we can do like we can do a select. And it looks like we have enough time too, so we can spend a little time and build a select for a date range. And so what we can do is say, okay, well, get me basically, I want to do a graph, and I just want to see the last 28 days of sales, okay? So I could do that, and then you could do like last 7 days, just a few different options in the date range, maybe even as much as like last 365 days or something like that. So we can do something like, we could pass something and say like this year, last year, or whatever, and then we can pass that information back to our query and plug that into the where statements and actually kind of do some date ranges, which would be a little bit off because we haven't considered time zones or anything like that. So everything's stored in the database as UTC. So the dates are going to be a little off, but I'm not really concerned about getting into that as much as I am maybe showing how to update this based on the days. I really wish I had a lot more data in my database for these sales because it's a lot harder to grab the data the way that we want. I don't even know how to. It's a lot harder to see the differences in our database if we don't basically, if we don't give it any sort of never mind. I've just completely gone stupid. So forget everything I just said for the last, I don't know, 10 or 12 seconds when my brain completely blanked out and I just said a bunch of random gibberish. So forget all that. But I think it'd be useful for us to, let's go back to this site and let me just Let me just add a few things here. All right. I appreciate you guys not leaving when my brain just kind of like wigged out there. Um, but yeah, you can see that the sales went up there to a 196.84. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and see if we can figure out the date range stuff. So let me look up if we can do MySQL date range query. Let me just see if there are any good examples of this. So they got between and. So let's go ahead and actually figure out what we can do here. So I'm gonna add a drop down. I think maybe just like at the top of this deal here, and let's see, right here above the canvas. Let's do a div, and we're gonna give this a class equal to text right. And let's do a select. I'm gonna give this an ID equal to let's do an ID equal to date range selector. All right, and then what we want to do is give it a few options here. So let's do an option, and this is going to be our default option. So we're going to say, let's do last 28 days. That's similar to a YouTube does that, last 28 days. And so the value on this is going to be I don't know, last 28. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this a couple times, and let's create some more options. So let's do last 7 days. I don't want to do too many of these because it's going to take time to build this out. But last 7 days, and then let's do last 90 days and last 365 days, something like that. We can actually rearrange these options. And what we'll do is by default, we'll give this a value of equal to last 28. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I could have actually used my form helpers for this, but that's okay. So I'm gonna do a form group, I think, and then we're here. I'll give this a class equal to form control, and then form control small, I believe is the class. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I can't do define the value here. Oh, I know what I have to do. I keep forgetting about this. I never use like raw HTML very often, so my HTML skills are a little questionable because you can't do a value like this, but you can do that in like React and other stuff. So that's why I did that. So basically, what you have to do is say selected equals selected here. I want this to be the default one. All right, so there we go. So we got the last 28 days, and then what we want to do is pass the last 28 days. Yeah, I could have used the pull right instead of text right, but I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it like this for now since I have it working. Pull right, I don't like doing that very often because of so every now and then that float will just do something really weird with it, unless you do like the clear fix thing too. So I don't like using pull right very often because it takes me forever to figure out what the heck's wrong when I do it and I screw it up. So at any rate, okay, I'll leave that open for a minute. All right, so what we need to do essentially is when you make a selection here, first of all, we're going to pass this back to this value to our backend initially when we load that. So that, let me show you what I mean. So right here inside this data, when we post this, where is it? Right here. We need to put that information here so the backend knows what selections made, and then when they change that, we're going to put an event listener, so when they update that, it's going to rerun this function again, which will make another AJAX request and load that. So what we'll do here is we need to basically get this data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say var, and we'll do range is equal to, we'll just use jQuery, and we called that date range selector, and then dot val. And then what we can do is here in this data, let's just pass range back in that post. So what I want to do is we'll look at the network now for that AJAX request, and it should post right here in this get daily sales. If we look at the headers, now you can look at that form data and it says the range is last 28. Okay, so and then what we want to do is if I update that, I want that to fire that off again with the new value. So what we'll do is we need to add that listener. So let's add that listener right here above this ready method. And what we'll say is document dot get element by ID. We can use jQuery too, but basically what we want to do is we're going to target that date range selector. So date range selector, and then we're going to add event listener, and let me look that documentation up real quick. JavaScript, add event listener. So what we'll do here is we're going to say on change, we want to fire off, we're going to fire off the load daily sales chart. So load daily sales chart. So let's see if that works now. Let me refresh. All right, so I'm going to clear this because it made that call, and let's change this to last 7 days. And when we do that, we can see that it did make another AJAX request, and it posted the range of last 7. So now if I go to last 365, it makes another AJAX request, and the form data gets last 365. So our JavaScript's working how we want it to work. Now we just need to make the backend take this range and create the query properly to get just that date range. Okay. Let's see. The only problem with this is basically our date ranges are really screwed up, so I might have to manipulate my database even more just so we can test this. But anyway, let's go now and go to the back end. And what we want to do is we want to take that date range stuff and convert that, convert those dates. So it's going to be an interesting little deal we're going to have to do here, and we'll have to figure it out as we go. But essentially, I need to, let's see, we're going to pass that range into here, into this get daily sales. So what we'll do is we're going to say range is equal to this request get range, and then we're going to pass that as a parameter into this get daily sales. So range will get passed into there. Then what we'll do is we're going to go into this get daily sales method, and in here this now is going to have a range, and by default we're going to set that to last 28, but we're going to pass this into here and we're going to manipulate this query a little bit so that it works. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just let me, oops. Okay. So what I need to do is get today's date. So let's start looking at that. So today's date is going to be equal to let's see. I think I can use date, and then I think this gets a function. So let's see, we want year, month. Actually, we want year, month, day. And I'm sure I'm doing that wrong. So let me see. I think it's actually a capital Y, lowercase m, and a lowercase d like that. So that's the format we want. So let's go ahead now and just look at that. I like it, since I'm not real sure on this at the moment, I like to just go ahead and debug it. So let's take a look. H is not found. And that is true because I didn't include it here. All right, so we got today's date at 5/8/2019, so I'm happy with that. So then what we need to do is we need to figure out today. So I'm just actually going to put this today. And then we need to figure out the low end of the range. And so what this is going to be, crap. We need to create some sort of way. First, let's just do the last 28. So let's just figure out 28 real quick, and we'll do that. So we can do string to time here. So we're just going to do a from day date, and that's going to be equal to date. And we're going to do y-m-d. And let's see. The date will be string to time. All right, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to extract that, and we're going to say minus. And actually, let's take this range and boil it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to say range is equal to substring 0. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 5 of range. And then what we're going to do in the string to time is we're going to say minus space, and then we're going to say, oops, minus, we're going to concatenate range, and then we're going to concatenate space days. Okay, so then let's go ahead and dump and die the from date. So see, I did this wrong. So not substring, I guess. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, actually what I want to do is I want to do the string replace. Yeah. So that, let's change the substring here to string replace, and we're going to search for last minus there. We're going to replace that with an empty string. Let's try that again. All right, so now that looks right. So the last 28 days goes back from April 10th of 2019. The one thing I need to do here is make this a capital Y so that that works out. And that did. All right, so now that we've done that, we can actually do this where. So we're going to add and created at, and we're going to say between, and we're going to do a question mark, and then the word and another question mark. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bind those values. So what we need to do here is this, we need to add the range here. So we're going to do from date, whoops, from date, and then the second param is going to be today. So let's see now if that works. Whoops, I need to get rid of that dump and die. And actually what I'm going to do, good night, Artur. Let's dump and die. Let's see. Well, you know what? We can just test this. So refresh. All right. So now this actually should work. So if I look at this last 7 days, nothing changes because I don't have enough data in my database. So what I can do is I'm going to go back and change this date right here to like March. And then I'm going to change this date. Oh wait, these don't even matter because they're not working. It's this date. I'm going to change this to March first. And then I'm going to change this one to all right. So let's see what happens now that I've changed a few of these. So the last 28 days takes me back not far enough. What's wrong there? Okay, so we got a problem. Oh, I may not be passing that yet. So range last 28. Make sure I got that query correct. MySQL date between okay, it looks like I have the syntax correct on that. So let's see. Something's wrong though. Oh, sorry, Artur. I updated that. JJ, thank you so much. If that is indeed what I did, you guys should jump through the screen and punch me in the face. And it is indeed what I did. So awesome. So maybe there's nothing wrong. Let's try to manipulate some of this. So 3, let's change this one to 4. And then I'm going to do another sales, maybe this one right here. I'm going to put this at like 2018, and I'm going to put it at 12/7/2018. Let's see. Okay, last 7 days, or last 28 days. 7. Alright, looks like the last 365 work because that went back to 12/7. And then we got 3/2. So let's look at last 90 days. That goes back to 3/2, 4/3. Last 28 days. And last 7. So our last 7 and last 28 look the same. And it could just be the way the database data is. But I think this is working kind of as we expected it to work. But let me just double check that. You know what we could do? Let's do this. Let's add a new option here. And this will tell us definitively if this is working. So I'm going to add a new option, and I'm just going to say today. So I'm going to put that at last 0. And let's see what happens. We might have to do last 1 there. No, it doesn't like that for some reason. So let's see. Why doesn't it like that? So from 410, that is not right. That from date's all screwy. What did I do here? Last 28. Okay, let's see. Last day. 1. Was there a problem with string to time? String to time -1 days. Can you not do days there? Okay. Well, fine. We'll do, because it doesn't matter. If we want to actually have that today thing in there, then I think what I have to do is I actually have to change that to -1 day. But it actually doesn't matter much to me right now because I don't think I'm going to keep it. It's just for testing. So let's see. Today should send last 2, which is not accurate, but what I'm trying to do is narrow this set to see if it works. All right. Just for testing purposes, basically. So I'm gonna get rid of this dump and die. And let's see. Last 7, and then today. It still doesn't like that for some reason. I don't understand that. Oh, you know what? I could have very well 5, 8. Oh, okay. I know what's going on here. So when you do it between dates, we're only passing the date back. We're not really passing the time. And so what we need to do here is probably what we need to do is today needs to have in order for this to work, today we're gonna have to concatenate on the hours, minutes, times. So I'm gonna do a space, and I'm gonna do 23, 59, 59. I think that'll fix our issue here, possibly. Yeah, it did. We only got one thing, so it doesn't make a great line graph, but you can see that it at least passed the information back, and that's because, so we needed to add that anyway, so that helped us find that bug, so I'm glad that happened. But basically we had to add the time because what it's doing, if you don't add the time, it assumes this to be midnight. So it's looking for 000000, and if you made a purchase today at all, that's actually going to happen after 000000 likely. So that's the reason we have to add the time on the today. The from date, that's already going to be 0000, so that's actually good. We just need it on the today range. Okay, so the next thing that we can do, let me just see if that was the problem with the last day thing. Because I think if we do last 0 now, that'll still work. And it does. Yeah. So I'm actually really happy with this, the way this is working. I'm sure you guys would like to see more functionality, but this is actually a pretty basic reporting that gives us the sales. And so I think that works out really, really nice. So what we've done so far today is we've essentially, if you just joining us or whatever, I know some people just came on, but what we've done is we've added, if you have something in the shopping cart, essentially it shows up in the menu and it tells you how many items are in there, and if you click on it, it takes you to the shopping cart. So that only happens if you have something in the shopping cart. So now I have 2 items. So that's that functionality that we did today. And then the other thing was in admin, now we have at least one reporting thing in our dashboard to show us sales by date. Okay, so I think that's excuse me. I think that's useful information. We could go crazy and add a bunch of different reporting here on the dashboard. Like we could show sales by products. We could do all kinds of things, but it's essentially all the same thing. And what you would do is you would just add more metrics down here, and you would essentially, they would all go off of this same thing. So what would happen would be, when you change this, you would simply come down here, you would have a new function. So you'd have another one. So like instead of load daily sales chart, you would build one of these out for load load sales by brand or whatever. Okay, and then when you did that, then inside of this ready, you would call it, and then also here inside of the event listener on that change, you would call it again. So basically you would add as many functions as you need to populate all of those things via Ajax. Another little bit of like sugar that we could have put on this is basically create some sort of loading information. So before this, when it's loading here, before it comes back, which it's happening really fast on our dev machine, but you know, that would be a little slower over our network. So right now it doesn't much matter that it's, but we could add a loading thing so that when you change this, it shows as loading overlay or something, and then when it's done loading, it loads the graph. I don't really think that's necessary right now. It's just something you could do. So this is kind of what I intended for the dashboard, you know, just to kind of throw up a few sales metrics or something like that. You know, we have less than an hour left. I don't actually know what we should work on for the rest of the time. If you guys want to call it a night, we can. If you guys have another idea for a metric that wouldn't be too hard for us to add on this dashboard, we could do that and then just continue it and make it work off of this here. So it's up to you guys what you want to do there. Oh man, my back is destroyed. But if you guys don't have any questions or any feature requests, we'll probably just call it a little early tonight. Because one, my mind's not working that great, and two, this is kind of a good stopping point unless, you know, we want to, unless, you know, I don't really want to start any major new functionality in the site right now because of, you know, just the, let's see. I actually think this is turning out, you know, to be a pretty cool little e-commerce site. There's all kinds of stuff we could add, but it's all pretty much the same exact thing. You could do, um, other graphs or whatever. We don't even have to do graphs. I mean, you can just do like other metrics or whatever. So, yeah, Denise, I don't want to complain about my back. It's just, uh, when that happens, it's like it's really intense pain, but it's not anything serious. It's been doing it for, you know, 12, 13, 14 years, whatever it's been since 2005, 14 years, I guess. Uh, and it's my own fault. I actually went off of a ramp. There was like, I'll tell the story real quick because it's kind of funny. Maybe you guys get to know me a little bit better through this story. I'm not a risk taker nowadays, but essentially when I was about 24 years old, or maybe I just turned 25. At that time, my oldest son was a was about 5 years old, about 4 or 5 years old, and his name is Jules. And we had a snow day, which means they didn't have school because it had snowed a lot the night before, and it would be dangerous to travel. So, um, essentially, we skipped, and also we skipped church because church was closed down, and it happened to be on a Sunday morning. And so the pastor of the church asked me if I wanted to go sledding with him and his wife. So my son and I went sledding, and we went to this hill that's in our area. It's like a really steep hill, and it didn't really snow the night before. It actually dumped a bunch of ice everywhere, and actually it was really slick. But there was a super huge hill, and like part of the way down the hill, someone had built a ramp on the hill, not at the bottom of the hill, but like in the middle of the hill. And so I decided that, well, I didn't decide this. I was looking at it, and my oldest son, who was like 4 or 5 at the time, he was like, "Dad, go down that ramp." And so I was like, "Okay, I have to do it. He told me to do it." Right? And so I was like sliding down the hill, and I hit this, and I was getting close to it, and I was like, "Oh man." I was like, "My feet are going to hit this ramp. It's built like really steep." And I didn't notice it until I was about to hit it. And so I put my feet up, and then I was on an inner tube, and then the inner tube hit it, and I went up, and it put me into like a backflip motion. So, anyways, since it was really high up on a steep hill, I traveled a distance forward and up, and then I came down straight on my head, which ended up being about 15, 20 feet off the ground by the time I came down, and it just bent my back too hard, and my knees hit my face. I actually broke my face, and I broke my back. And what was really funny about the story was as I was flying through the air, I had enough time to think, this is going to hurt. And then I could hear my son at the top of the hill laughing, like hysterically, while I was flying through the air. And then I hit the ground, and that was it. So it was pretty funny. Um, so, anyways, guys, um, Denise says we can end it here because of my no electricity Tuesdays. My beautiful Africa, man. Denise, I don't know if you're still on, but if you are, I can't even imagine what it's like to live in Africa. Um, and I just want to give you a shout out that I'm really proud of you. Like you're going through a lot of adversity to be here, and there are others too, but a lot of you guys, you guys don't have the luxury of living where I live, and I have a lot of blessings in my life that I take for granted. Honestly, I take electricity for granted. Um, and it's an eye opener to realize that I have people on my live stream that may not have electricity every day of the week or any days of the week, or they rely solely on like wind or solar or something. And I actually had a friend. He runs a ministry here in the United States, and he travels to Africa. And he had built some hospitals there, and he's invited me several times to go. And the next time he goes, I really need to go and kind of give something back. And I think going there and building a hospital or something like that would be an awesome adventure for me. And I think it would be a blessing for me, probably more than it is for anyone in Africa. But anyways, all that to say is like, man, God bless you, and thank you so much for going through extraordinary links to be here and be a part of this. So I hope I haven't wasted your time, and I hope you learned something. And guys, with that, we will just call it a night. And and I hope, yeah. So if you guys, maybe one of you guys can invite me there. Uh, yeah. So you know, you're in Rwanda, okay? So yeah, there's. I love you guys because so many of you said, "Hey, if I go to your countries, I would have a place to stay." And actually, it'd be difficult for me to do to go to a bunch of other countries, but maybe we can pull it off. One thing I was thinking about, and I don't know how it'd be difficult for you guys to be, but I actually thought about doing an event here in the United States and inviting any of you who want to come, just come hang out with me for a week, and we would just basically I'd give you a place to stay and food and everything. We can all just sleep at my church or something, and basically if you can get here, you just hang out with me and we'll do some coding during the day or something, and then I could take you guys to see some sites and stuff in the afternoons or something. It might just be fun, just to get together, but I don't know if that would work out or not. But anyhow, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I am almost overwhelmed with emotion right now because of you guys and just everything that you guys are going through to take these live stream classes. Because to be honest with you, at the beginning of the night, I was thinking, man, I don't really want to be here tonight. I'm tired. I might just skip tonight. And I thought about sending out a message to you guys and saying, um, I'll see you guys next week. But ultimately, what kind of brought me to it is like, you know what? If you guys can get up in the middle of the night, if you guys can come and not have electricity, and however you're doing, I don't know how you're doing it, maybe on battery or whatever, but if you guys can go through all that trouble, like, I need to stop complaining and just show up. So here I am, and I hope you guys learned something tonight. Um, I hope above all things that you guys can take this knowledge and it benefits your life, and that it makes a tangible difference in your life in a positive way, that you guys can make a decent living, that you guys can impact the world in some positive way. And if you can do that, then I am blessed. With that, guys, good night. I'm going to try to figure out how to turn this thing off, which I know how to, but it takes a minute, so I say that every week. But anyways, guys, thank you very much. Hopefully we can all get together someday soon, and hopefully I have a lot more cool courses coming for you guys. With that, I'm out. Peace out. Love you guys.